Yes, people. Sorry, there's no overlay right now, but now there is. Yeah, my bad. I was just recording on Troops TV. Apologize for the lateness. I can own up to my mistakes, but we got lots of transfer news to go through today. Lots of rumors, whether they're false or right or correct. That's for us to judge. That's why I've got Mr. Osiguna in the building, and also Roms, who'll be back in any moment at some point in time. But big up all TSLs in the building. We got what are we saying, Ozzy man? You reckon transfer news is drying up, or do you reckon it's just getting started? Because today there's
it's like it's the calm before the storm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the calm before the storm. I think we got a little bit of a taste of Arsenal doing their business early, a little bit of this and that. Kind of dried up, but now it's starting to maybe pick back up again. So you know what? It's an interesting time.
I think so as well, man. And I appreciate you for jumping on all the time. I know it's late in Mr. Aussie land over there with all the deadly spiders and all the deadly animals and creatures that you're just basically not meant to live there. But other than that,
get the fuck out, bro. Get the fuck out.
We got Chelsea news, of course, with Ivan Toney, which has come from Felix Johnston as well. So that's got some absolute relevance to it. I'm pretty sure they're going to be looking at his signature potentially in January when he's back. There's also more news of that with Cherki, Lawrence Julian, and I do like Lawrence Julian as a reporter as well. And if he says there's some sort of bid that could potentially happen, especially in France with Cherki, and where they could look to bolster that right hand side, potentially attacking mid, he can do both, maybe even centre forward. I think he's wicked. That guy's wicked. More so then as well. There's more news on Harry Kane. Will he be going to Bayern Munich? A rumored €100 million bid. That's also apparently being pushed by PSG, and if Bayern fail to land that, they're going to maybe target Julian Alvarez as a plan B. And that would, again, test the resolve of the guy himself if he wants first-team football. But, there's always a plan at Man City and everything in place. And more news as well that just come in. It's just, I didn't know whether you could tell me, Roms, or not. Is Kevin Thuram set to stay at OGC until Euro 2024? So you might as well... Well, that shit might as well sell.
I thought you were going to say something else.
No, we all knew that, but it looks like your sights are set on Lavia. And there's obviously other little bits and bobs, like Elanga going to Everton, which was kind of crazy. The Vlahovic stuff again, it's looking likely that he might be a target of PSG front runners. So if you're a Chelsea fan, that might be a thing that might not happen. Tottenham recently linked. And of course, Tottenham linked with Conor Gallagher, again in the Chelsea camp of all things. And the last part is a loan, Joao Felix to Man United, which I would be super excited about, but I need more from that. Afternoon, everyone.
I was going to say, Kaz, also news that would make Ismail Henderson staying just come out.
I like Henderson. Yeah, no, I saw Ben Jacobs.
Don't try it. As a rival, you love it. No.
We'll go into it because it was Ben
Hendo-Dino, man. It's Hendo-Dino. How could you hate Hendo, bro? Come on, man.
It's not about hating him. Like, I respect
Captain, my captain. Come on, bro.
But it's just time. Listen, everything has an expiry date. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
we'll get into it.
We'll get a little bit into it. I saw Ben Jacobs, that fraud report, and I don't believe it because it's from him. So, until something else, because I saw other reports that Henderson's family are very much for the move. So
they're prepared for the move.
Yeah. So we can go from there, innit, man. Grandpa Henderson in the building, man. I like Henderson, man. I think he's what you kind of need for fresh players, especially if Thiago is to go. You can't let that man go. What? Roms, how you doing in general, man? I see that.
I'm good. Busy morning, but I'm good, bro. For once, I'm actually optimistic about my club. I just want the season to start. Watch inside training. Salobsai and Salah winning the lactate test. Everyone looked in good spirits. I just want the Prem to start now, man. I wish we could skip pre-season and just start the Prem.
Is that the feeling with you as well, Ozzy? Like, you just want the Prem back. You're kind of interested in pre-season, see what the club's about. Even I'm very interested for pre-season because you know what? 5 years ago, I wouldn't be interested in watching pre-season as much. Not.
Wait, guys, you play today, don't you?
Yeah, we got a friendly, but there's all of our youngsters that are going to be playing. So I'm interested to see what youngsters look good and what youngsters don't look so good. It's against Leeds and it's in Oslo, in Norway, I believe.
Do you know one youngster I like? I don't know. Is it shorty? You know the one.
Shorter or Shorteri. I don't know how to say
Sure,
his name.
yeah. However, there's that 5 pronunciations. I like him. Do you reckon he'll ever get his chance? Probably not, innit?
I don't see it personally though. When you got, I think his name's Aaron Hansen, the young, I think he's Swedish, wicked little attacking mid there. Kobe Mino as well, interesting. Ahmad, Alvaro Fernandez, and Gerardo. So it'll be nice to see what's going to be cooking up there today. But yeah, sorry man. Let's get straight into it, guys. 306 of you in the building. 5 minutes in. Make sure you hit that like button. Again, apologies for being late. It's my fault today, so there's 1 point to me. I'm keeping tally of it all. Guess I've got 2 points. Daps has got 1 point. Mo's got 1 point. I've got 1 point. And then at the end, we'll go through it. 84 likes, 85 likes and counting. But yeah, man, I feel like we need to talk about Ivan Toney because that's a striker I want at my club. That's probably a striker that Aussie you probably want on your club. And Chelsea is probably another. It's just down the road from Brentford, isn't it? And that's just a club that they're screaming number 9, even if it is in January. What are we saying about that?
Man, look, if he moves to Chelsea, I think anyone's jealous of Chelsea right now to see Ivan Toney there. But we all know he's not going to hit the ground running, so he's going to have to make his money on Sportsbet. But apart from that, if we put that aside, as a footballer, man, I wanted him over Jesus. When I was talking about him last season, everyone was like, oh, no. And then all of a sudden it started kicking off. Ivan Toney's a great player. Really? But unfortunately, he shot himself in the foot. And I think, to be perfectly honest, he could do bits at Man United. He could do bits at Arsenal. He could do bits at Chelsea. I think any team he goes into, he's going to make them better. He's going to level them up. For me, I look at Ivan Toney, and I swear a lot of people have said to me it's a bit much. He reminds me of Harry Kane, just here and there. He's good in the box. He can take a good pan. He can pass the ball. He can work in the build-up play. He's just complete, and I just far out, mate. Like, if it wasn't for this issue, I'm telling you, every team would be knocking on the door right now. And I think, look, Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea we can't go wrong with making that signing. Liverpool, I don't believe, would be in the equation. I mean, they're so top-heavy right now, it would make no sense. But I think, honestly, if Chelsea make this signing...
Yeah, I think it's dangerous, man, because this guy is like... I think it will take him some time to come back, but he's going to be hungry. He's going to want that, and he's going to be looking towards his future. And not just that. You know what I don't like about it? Is the fact that Brentford have banned him, and obviously FA and everything have banned him, shall I say, from footballing activities. But yet you look on their sponsor on their shirt and it's Hollywood Bet, and you're like, wait, how does that make any sense?
Contradicting.
It's exactly that.
But Kaz, I swear, he's allowed to train. He is allowed to train, innit? I was reading something. I think he's allowed to train.
He's not allowed to train with clubs until like October, until half the ban is served. But he has to do his own individual training until then.
Because just to echo what Ozzy Gunnar said, I think the only club that I think he couldn't benefit right now is City. I know you said we're top heavy, but Toney's that good. He can even kind of do the Firmino role where he drops in as a facilitator and kind of pops it off to our either winger. That's how highly I rate Toney. And then he's a clinical finisher as well, so he can do that kind of 10 role and the number 9 role. But
I think if Toney comes to Liverpool right now, if Toney, sorry to cut you off, Toney came to Liverpool right now and he was allowed to kick a ball, he would be your starting number 9. He would be your starting number 9.
Trent will get 20.
He would be your number 9 over any other player.
The thing is, I agree. Obviously, we wouldn't go in for him because we're top heavy in that regard. But I agree because as much as I rate Gakpo, he's had to kind of be molded into that. Toney is a number 9. Do you know what I mean? And where he's such a creator as well, he will cook for us. But I think everyone bar City could deal with it with Ivan Toney. But I think for him, he would want to start, and I can only really see him starting for Chelsea, United, off the top of my head. I know you said he'll do well at Arsenal, but let's be honest, that Jesus is the better footballer. Maybe not the better number 9, but I still think he will keep his place if he was to sign a Toney. But no, I think he's a baller, and you can get him at a cut price now. Like, I know he can't play for quite a long time, and you know what? Another thing, Kaz actually made a good point. Not only that he's going to be hungry, there's an incentive there. It's Euro year, and he's been called up for the England squad a few times. Can't remember. Did he go to the World Cup? He didn't. Yeah, because
No,
the ban come in play.
No, he didn't.
He
It was
didn't
Callum
come. But he's going to have a point to prove. 6 months left to state my claim in that England team. So I think it's not even a gamble. I just think club should be in for him. I'll be surprised if he stays at Brentford. But it's like you said, it's who's serious about actually acquiring him. But I rate Toney, man. I rate him highly.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with it. But if he is to go to Chelsea, yeah, what position does that put them in? Do you reckon even for this incoming season? Like, what do you reckon it would elevate them to?
It's hard to say because the problem is Toney's not going to be playing football for 6 months, so he's not going to make that impact that we all know he would make at Chelsea or any other team. But in the later stages of the season, to have a player like Ivan Toney ready to rumble, that could change everything depending on how other teams fall off. It's very hard to say, Kaz. I mean, depending on who they start. I mean, Lukaku has to come back to Chelsea. Am I right? Is he coming back to Chelsea? I don't think there's any real deals for Lukaku right now.
Until Lukaku's future does get sorted out, he'll be arriving for pre-season.
Yes, and that's around the corner.
There's too much noise coming out of their camp because I'm hearing he's not going to turn up for the first week of pre. I don't know if this is true, but there's so many stuff surrounding the car captain. I don't think anyone knows what he's doing. Only he knows what he's doing. It's one of them ones, but I don't know. To answer your question, I think I don't think he propels them to anything crazy and again, because he joins after Christmas, because he will only be able to play after Christmas. I still think the target will remain the same. I think most Chelsea fans will agree. Try and push for that challenge for that top 4 position and try and get a domestic cup. I think that still remains. He doesn't really change anything in terms of target-wise, but I think once he is fit, he starts. You can't be telling me Jackson's ahead of him. From what I've seen of Jackson, very good player, but Toney Prem proven. You could say England international now. 20 goal season last season. He starts for them.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the case. I don't see Lukaku coming back though. Knowing this guy, he's not going to return nowhere. He's just going to be forcing his move, wait for his move, and probably end up going to Inter Milan. Apparently, there's going to be some. I can't remember. He's willing to slash his wages to join Inter. So I can kind of see it going that way for him. But this ain't about Lukaku as well. Another one that Chelsea are linked to currently is that Rayan Cherki. That one that, if anyone knows anything about this guy, this is trend.
What's he like? 19-year-old midfielder, attacking mid, plays wings.
Oh, this guy's wicked, man. Like, if anyone watched him for the under-21s for France and stuff like that.
Up and coming player. Good.
He had a mad injury, I believe, and then he's come back, and then obviously he's come hit all cylinders. This guy is just wicked, man.
Then he reminds me of Kaz. A more agile, less injury-prone Nabil Fekir. That's what he reminds me of. Cherki. Okay. I think Cherki's cold. I think he's very cold. Again, but we've seen this story a lot. I reckon he'll come to Chelsea and not hit it off straight away. I reckon his following season. Yeah, I reckon the following season he'll light up. But what him and Barcola's been doing for Leon, big up G, because G watches Leon often. He's out. You need to tune in. I watched the back end of their season. Not gonna act like I watched the whole season, but what things I was seeing him and Barcola were doing, they've got quite a young team, and how they were servicing Lacazette. Cherki's a baller. The thing is, he's been being touted for a while now. I'd say even last summer there was talks of clubs in for him and etc. But I just think that's a technician at his highest. He just reminds me a lot of Fekir, but just more agile. I think he's a bit quicker and he's less injury prone, man. But the sky's the limit for him. The sky's the limit.
You know, I look at this guy as you say Nabil Fekir, but I can see the resemblance. But Nabil Fekir is very one-footed, and this guy is very both-footed.
Yeah, you're right.
Moves, I'm going to liken him to someone like Santi Cazorla, you know. Why are you laughing? Have you seen the way the guy moves?
No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at what that said.
Left foot, right foot. Left foot, right foot. It doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter. It's just the way he's just press resistant as well. You know, you can't get the ball of him. He's good at passing. I reckon he's wicked, and I don't think he has enough explode. I know I've seen him linked to like Hazard, like as in like for like, but I'm like, nah, he's not Hazard. Like he's not nowhere near as explosive as Hazard. For me, anyways. But I just feel like it's just this, man. I just think if he's gonna go, we're talking £30 million, by the way.
thing is, like Nabil Fekir, he didn't do too bad over in France. I mean, Houssem Aouar was another player that we all looked at and said, "Wow."
Gone to Roma now, isn't
he? Are we not a little bit worried that he's up and coming? He could be great. Is this what Chelsea need right now? Is what I'm trying to get to right now. Is this what Chelsea really need?
Well, I think they lack a little bit of cover on the right potentially. They got Mudryk and Sterling on the left. I know they got Nkunku now, but he's more like a 10 for me or down the middle type player. Look on the right, they got Madueke. They just got rid of Pulisic. I think they're lacking now in that area, unless I'm missing somebody.
But it's within it's sorry to cut. It's within their remit at the moment because what Bodie's trying to do. He's just trying to build for the future, get the young players in. It kind of does make sense because this is what they're priding themselves of recent. Just buy the young players, buy young forwards, and then basically buy for the future. And if they do sign him, they'll probably put him on a death row contract, like 8 years.
Can't do it no more.
Decent rest. Can't do it. No,
you can't do that. It's 5. You can only go 5 maximum.
Exactly. So people, if they're not FFP and all, they only recognize the first 5 years of the contract. Anything beyond that is whatever.
I didn't even know that still. Cool. But they'll put him on a 5-year, probably a 5-year. And like you said, Kaz, I think he'll be more of an impact player. Probably the guy to come on last 20 minutes of most games. But, like you said, Houssem Aouar, Fekir, Cherki, them kind of French, Algerian, French, Moroccan players. Technicians of the highest order, but they don't really have, like you said, Kaz, that explosiveness. So I don't think he's an out-and-out winner. He'll be more I would see more of an inside forward, especially from what I've seen at Lyon.
Yeah. Go on. Is another player that I want to talk about very, very quickly before we move on to like the Liverpool stuff. Obviously, I want Rom's back for that. And then obviously this Julian Alvarez plan B and what situation that might be for Bayern Munich and Harry Kane. Joao Felix on loan to Man United. Is this good or bad? How would you rate it? Because I'll be very excited if that's the case. On loan as well. I wouldn't mind that.
The fee. What kind of fee are we talking?
I have no idea.
Similar to what Chelsea. I mean, look, if we take the money, if we throw the money out the window, stuff that we don't care, it's the Glazers, right?
Yeah.
It's a nice move, but it's a band-aid solution. I mean, for Man United fans are going to look at it and say, good move, but what's my real solution to this? This is a loan move, not a loan to buy. You get what I'm saying? And it feels as if Man United right now, because they're in limbo, it's a lot of patching, a lot of paper patching here and there, trying to put together a squad. So it's mixed emotions from Man United, a quality player, but a loan. You get what I'm saying? In a position that you guys really need to solidify right now. And in the world of Harry Kane being out there for 100 and something odd million and yada, 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 it kind of breeds, we need to top up the squad. We can't spend too much money. This is all we could afford. It screams of Arsenal 7 years ago.
But the way I look at it is like, I don't care what he did for Chelsea. You look like Chelsea's best attacking quality player anyways.
He was.
If we're going to talk about that, then the whole of the Chelsea squad, Enzo Fernandez, the rest of it, they're all garbage then. I don't need to know it like that. That's the way I look at it. I don't look at him as a striker, by the way. I look at him as a...
He's a false 9. He's a false 9-10.
I look at him as the way where what Ten Hag wants to do, potentially, in my head, with the overloads, the 4-1 up front, doing what they do, like, where Mason Mount's pushed up high, Bruno Fernandes pushed up high. He'd be in one of those positions. I don't look at him as a striker solution. I look at him as, go get Amrabat as your backup DM. You got Mason Mount, cool. You still got Eriksen. Now, you probably can afford a luxury player in there alone, like Felix. Someone that's very silky, he's got ball retention, he doesn't lose the ball. It's something that probably Man United lack in a profile. It doesn't mean I don't want to go get a striker. So, of course, I want to go get a striker. But if it's a loan, sometimes you have to plug the gap somewhere, right? And that's the way I look at it. I just think he'd just ball out for Man United, personally, the way I look at it anyways. And it's not like he's got bad work rate. He's got very good work rate.
What are they saying for the fee?
I threw that out the window.
We don't know what the fee is. It's just rumors at the moment. I can't really see it being concrete as of yet. Maybe they're just trying to throw out his name in and out of the works to get his name out there. But obviously, Diego Simeone doesn't fancy the guy, and I don't think he fancies them. So I just look at
it's that little birdie in the window. You know what I mean? Little birdie whispered to you, and he's saying maybe Joao Felix to Man United. It's not a bad move. He's a good player. He's a wonderful player.
I don't
as a false 9, he would be good. As a false 9, I think that's his natural position. His false 9 or 10 would be his best position.
Yeah, I agree. I don't look at Felix and I don't look at towards goals. I'm still going to get my Højlund. Like, that's not going to be the case. That's going to be the only striker we're going to get, right? That's the way I look at it. And I'm not looking at Felix for his goals. I'm looking for him for his creativity.
I think he could score, though. I think when the Man United squad, it's different from Chelsea. I think you're going to get goals from Joao Felix in the Man United squad more than what you'd see at Chelsea. I'm sorry. I think last season Chelsea didn't do him any favors. I didn't think Chelsea did many players favors, like your Fernandes, like your Mudryk, like Raheem Sterling. These players, none of them. The team was just horrible. I think Joao Felix goes to Man United, and goals are going to be part of his game. I don't see a reason why he can't score in that squad. No reason.
You know what it is as well, Ozzy Gunnar, though? Like, I rate Felix highly. Always, I still do. But Felix, similar to Nunes, he didn't help himself. They both got sent off on their debuts. Do you know what I mean? So when you don't have that run of games to put you in good stead to gain momentum and whatnot, you're always going to have that kind of rookie start. But the way I see it for United, let's say as of now, so you don't have Hoyle and whatnot. Let's say you get Felix through the door. Your midfield three, which I'm just loving, is probably going to be Casemiro, Mount, and Bruno, right? As it stands right now. Them three will be the middle three. Say that again?
Probably, yeah.
Probably. And then Rashford on the left. For me, if you had a Felix, it would be Rashford on left, Felix as false nine, and then probably, who's on your right side? Anthony, innit?
Anthony.
Or is Sancho coming, going, Kaz? What's
it looks like he's staying.
Sancho's got it.
But
Sancho's depth now. Yeah.
I agree. Again, I can't see him coming in and lighting it up for United and getting like 15 plus league goals. But again, similar to what I was just saying about Toney, I think he'll be more of a facilitator. I think he'll be high in that assist bracket. But I agree with Kaz. I can't see him going in and just scoring a plethora of goals. I can't see it.
He might not get the goals, but it's his contribution. So the thing is, he might pull. You might see 12, 13 goals and 9 or 10 assists. What's the problem with that? You know what I mean? It's when you got players who can be dangerous and they're more than one dimensional. We had Aubameyang. He scored so many goals for Arsenal. Where did Arsenal finish? Last season we didn't have a prolific striker. Where did Arsenal finish? It's about contribution. And I think Joao Felix in the Man United squad, I think he could open up the play for them. And if it isn't a goal, it's going to be an assist. I mean, we all know Anthony's got a decent left foot, and with the form that Rashford's been in, and maybe a fit Martial as well, if he can stay that way, you've got options there. And I think it's about avenues for him. With Erik ten Hag and the style of football that he plays, I think he can make an impact there. And it might not be 20 goals, but if he contributes to 10 assists in 11 goals or whatever it may be, I don't think any Man United fan is gonna say that was a horrible season from him. He can be dangerous in more than one way.
Yeah, potentially. Anyway, that's just an off link at this moment of time. There's nothing concrete. I can't really be seen as nothing like, how do you say? It's not a priority at this current moment of time, like a Nana or Hoyland or whatever it's going to be. So the way anyways, but moving on from Man United is it's Liverpool stuff. I didn't realize according to Monts, he said that Liverpool pulled out the deal last week, but I never saw that last week. Otherwise, I'll probably have done something on that last week. I never did. They're saying now that he's set to stay at Nice for at least another season and get the Euros out of the way before he decides his future.
No, I don't think
it depends. From anyways.
It depends. I wouldn't use the words pulled out, but I wouldn't say the words pulled out. I think we called interest. So we called interest on Thuram and prioritized Lavia more. Like the interest was stronger with Lavia. But I wouldn't say we pulled out of the Thuram deal, but I've read the reports as well. I think he's due to stay at Nice. He wants to again, this is a big year for a lot of players. That Euro 2024, that's going to be on everyone's back of their minds. Especially if you play for a European nation, it's an incentive to not only be at a club, but be starting at a club. And I think he's probably looking at it now. They're seeing me a second option. They want to go for Lavia. Let me just stay put, have a good year at Nice, and hopefully I can break into that France squad for the Euros. But we have definitely called interest. I don't know about putting out the deal straight away, but we definitely have called interest on him. And to be fair, Lavia's probably more suited to us, but I think Thuram has a bit more experience. I think we've been through this, last couple of weeks. There's pros and cons to both of them. Me personally, I'd want a Lavia, but I rate Thuram highly as well. I do rate him. But yeah, I think he does stay at Nice.
Do you think that if you guys had moved on him earlier and got the deal done, that this would have been done and dusted? Because it looks like for me that the player himself has has looked at the move, and it looks like it's like kind of cooled down, and you guys weighing up your options, and he's just said, "No, I'm staying where I'm staying put." It's not that. Don't get me wrong, you guys have sort of pulled out, not officially. He's come out and said, "I'm not having any of it," because at the end of the day, he knows he's got a preseason coming up, and he needs to, of course, focus on his football. But do you think that if Liverpool had just gone in, made the move, and got it done and dusted, he would have moved without a problem?
Yeah, because the reports are saying his heart was set on Liverpool. Apparently, gave the go ahead. But this time, you can never really believe all of these things that get spurted out at you. But I think if we had just got this done, if we wrap this up quickly, he would have been a Liverpool player, because a lot of our fans were using this excuse. Oh, he's with the French under-21 team. He wants to concentrate on Championship. But then you see Newcastle wrapping up Toney whilst he's the captain of that squad, whilst he's on duty as well. So I feel like if you're serious and you had that intent, he might even be looking at it from a pride standpoint. Like, they don't really want me. They've not put in an official bid. They've not shown intent that they want me. It's just kind of flirting. Maybe we spoke to his agents, but the club ourselves have not actually put in a bid. So he might just be looking at it like they're not really that serious. You know what? Let me just spend one more year in my native country, get into the French team, then say that again.
Solidify.
He's young enough, anyways. But I just feel like if you don't get him now, then someone like you'd be battling with someone like PSG for his signature next year. Like,
no,
he could be.
I'll say from now, because I think you're spot on. If we don't get him this summer, we don't get him next summer, he goes to another club, in my opinion. It's literally now or never. But I think Lavia's the one. I think when it's all said and done, and remember I said it to you as well, Odiguna, if you look, I think Arsenal have called their interest. I've been seeing less stuff on Arsenal and Lavia links. I think he comes to us. If Arsenal call down their interest, I think he's nailed on to come us, and I think that's who we're prioritizing at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of them ones. It's just got to be next year. You need to get Lavia. You need to get a DM in the ranks, like a backup one, anyways. And if Thiago leaves, who cares? Like, you got enough cover for that position at this moment of time. Bajcetic is another name. Obviously, he's a youngster who I rate probably as highly as Thuram personally, because I can't lie. I'm not going to say I've seen loads of Thuram. I've seen quite a bit of Bajcetic, and I think he's one of them guys that will thrive.
I love Bajcetic's a baller, and what I hate is this fragile. Go on. I hate this fragile mindset from our fan base that, but he's going to, Lavia coming in will stop Bajcetic's growth. What happened to competition? Like, what happened to fighting for the thing? And that is two young sixes that I don't get it.
I don't look at Bajcetic in his future as a six. I see him as that understudy for McAllister, doing exactly the same role. I'd say he's more six, Kaz. I'd say he's more six. I think his future's an 8. I think he's too lightweight to be a 6.
Probably an 8.
But he can bulk up, but he has that kind of destroyer gene. The amount of yellows he picks up because he flies into challenges, but that will come with experience. He'll start to be a bit more cautious. He'll start to anticipate things. But Kaz, he's more of a 6. From what I've seen, he's more of a 6. He can collect from the back four. He's I think Serbian, Spanish, one and two. I think one parent Serbian, the other one Spanish. He's got technique about him. I remember, right, and I know you're going to say you can't go for 3 season game. Remember last season, Kaz, we played you and you battered us, but it was like 3 different 11s in like 3 30-minute segments, right? And you smoked us at 3-0 in the first segment. He came on and just looked so comfortable. I think even United fans were saying, wait, who was that new 6 playing for you?
Yeah, I was asking for that. Yeah, I was like asking.
Yeah. He looks so comfortable. I just think he's more of a 6 than an 8. But you know what? Depending on his development and how good he gets, maybe he can be an 8. But right now, I think he's a 6.
Yeah, it's like this. Right now, we're 432 people. If people decided to get off their lives that quickly, we could be on that 6. We could be on that 500 mark. But it's up to you guys if you want to hit the like button, of course. Just stop being lazy about it. A lot of people that haven't done it, it helps the video out. We say it time and time again. It should just become second nature at this point to go like the video, and also subscribe to Osiguna in the description if you have the time or the mind frame to be like, okay, let me just go do it. You know, if you
it's not hard, is it? It's not hard. It's like, you know, honestly, it costs you absolutely nothing. It helps us a little bit, you know, a little bit of support here, a bit of love. You know, it's like it's just a little bit of love. You know what I mean? Just to show a little bit of appreciation for a poor motherfucker who's up at 12 at night.
But other than that as well, we're going to move on to the Man City side of things, which I think is an interesting story. I don't see it being the case.
You reckon?
Yeah. If Harry Kane is not to go to Bayern Munich, right, and then Bayern start targeting Julian Alvarez, do you reckon he'd push for a move, or do you reckon he'd stay another year at least, anyways, before he makes any sort of decisions? Because I just don't understand how you'd move from winning everything in your first season, anyways, and not wanting to be there again the next season.
Do you know what, right?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Like seriously, look at from the player's perspective. Look at the high you've just come off. Seriously, you're at the football club, the best team in Europe, and you want to move? I think it would be suicide. I don't think you'd move. I don't think you'd get anywhere.
And how much how much would he cost as well?
Do you know what it is, Otiguna? Yeah, I already have Alvarez top 5 strikers in the league. You can call me maybe premature. You can maybe call it a rash comment. I think he is. I think Alvarez is off the hook, right? I already have him probably 4th or 5th best striker in the league, right? And I think Pep's gonna have a great headache next year, this season, because I think he's gonna play that well. He's gonna replicate last season, but I think he's gonna go up another level. He's gonna play that well that Pep's gonna say to himself, I need to find him a starting play. Obviously, he's not going to displace Haaland. We know that. But I think he's going to push for a start either flank. Probably more on the right side because I think he's that good. Pep's going to start. He's going to have to start acknowledging him. You're not a bench player. You're not an impact player anymore. For me, you're a starter. And I think he's going to give Pep a selection headache. That's how highly I rate Alvarez. All this links to Bayern or not. He's not going anywhere. It just doesn't make sense. I swear he renewed his contract in January. Correct me if I'm wrong, Daps or Kaz, but he renewed. He's staying, man. He's staying.
At least for another year before another conversation comes about. Because if you're talking 5 years on your contract, I can't lie, you're gonna have to fork out more for Harry Kane than for Julian Alvarez. This is what we do these days. We buy potential, right?
Because wait, that right hand side.
Another year. Real Madrid and Barcelona are also knocking on the door.
Yeah, that's the one.
And Manchester City are just sitting there going, hey, it's a fatal 3-way. They're going to be laughing.
The way I see it, if he's on the bench again as much as he is for last season to now this season, again, he's going to probably be looking elsewhere other than thinking about his options. But it's going to come at a big price, though.
Yeah. I think he forces his way into that starting 11, man. I think eventually this season he actually states his claim as a start. Because who do they have on the right? Mahrez and...
Spurs.
Bernardo and
Mahrez.
Alvarez was playing on the right.
Say it again.
Sometimes Alvarez would start on the right hand side.
That's what I'm saying. But I think he displaces Mahrez. Looks like he's on his way out. Like I said, Bernardo Silva just for me is a guaranteed starter. But I think maybe Bernardo then retains his place in the middle, and then they shift out. I think at some point next season, Alvarez starts on the right consistently. He's that good. When you're that good, you can't be ignored for too long. I'm not saying Pep ignores him, but in the sense that he still sees him as that impact sub because he's not going to get probably his preferred position, that central 9 role, because you got Haaland there, like no one's displacing him. But on that right, man, I think he's going to give Pep a headache, honestly.
Yeah, more than likely. I want to probably, I would say Bayern Munich be wasting their time. Just go get your Vlahovic, man. No one wants to come to your club. But do you reckon who's going to go to the club? You reckon if a 90+ million bid comes in for what's his name, Harry Kane, you reckon he'd be on his trot? Because now there's 2 big clubs after him. That if he needs to go to PSG, I'm like, that's just as much as ambition as staying at Spurs, in my opinion.
Exactly. And
he needs Bayern, bro.
You reckon they accept it though? 90 million, like 92 million pounds, or whatever add-ons there might be, if it is going to be true.
I think Levy would be insane not to. Because I know it's like, oh, we need him for this season, but what can you really achieve this season? Like you sell Harry Kane now, you cash in, you get yourself £92 million. You can use it to rebuild your squad or do whatever, or you might finish in the top 4. Might, and I doubt it. And I think it's highly doubtful, but might finish in the top 4. Are you willing to gamble £92 million because he's going on a free? See you later. He's not signing. He's not signing an extension. I think. Anyways. Dude, come on, man. Come on.
You know what, yeah? That. Big up Casey from Big Six Bats, because he even said yesterday he made a good point. They might as well keep him, because even next year, right? Even if they cash in on him this year, next year they're gonna have to replace him anyway. So look, we know Spurs don't win much, right? But if he can stay one more year and I don't know, help them push for maybe that top 4 position, I can kind of hear it. If I was Harry Kane himself, I would leave. I've been saying he should leave. But from a Spurs perspective, I understand if maybe Levy's just stubborn how he always is and doesn't want to sell him.
But if Levy doesn't sell him, right, and you're saying, oh, he has to leave, they have to get a striker next season, what kind of coin are they going to have next season to buy themselves another striker?
True.
And if they take 92 million now, and I'm not saying they're going to get the whole lot up front, but a large sum, how much money could they possibly put into this squad now in order to make, a kind of a push, maybe not this season, but next season for top 4? I think I understand what you're saying, but I think if Harry Kane isn't signing for Spurs, I think Levy has to take sort of an L, but he's very good with his business. Sell him out to Bayern Munich for, close to 100 million. Or if it's going to be to an English club, I've heard it's going to be inflated. But I think they need to cash in now. He's a great player. He is. But if they can't invest massive amounts of money now, there's no point. He's not going to stay. So, look, 92 million is better than zero, especially when it comes to Tottenham Hotspur.
And you know what as well, like, for me, it only makes sense to go back. I think you two touched on it. You go to PSG, once he wins that league, which will be inevitable, it's not going to be credible to a lot of the footballing world that they do that anyway, with or without you. Whereas at Bayern, you can win that Champions League. They've got that heritage. They've got that pedigree. So you're actually in with a shot. In fact, he probably propels them to being one of the favourites. Because let's be honest, like City wiped the floor with them. If they had it, and I know you said it many times, Kaz, if they had a Harry Kane in that team, I still think City knocked them out, but it's much closer. It's definitely much closer.
I just feel like Levy would be on the boat along the lines of he could probably get 90 million or 80 million in January. Like there's going to be a
he won't get that. He won't. Yeah, everyone will look at it and say, forget it. No one will pay it. He's dreaming.
There's going to be a team that's going to need him or want him at some point, and they could just fork into their summer budget and go get him in January instead. They can
bad business. Of course they can, but it would be silly business. It would be stupid.
Bad business. But you say you go get him for 90 million now. What other striker you're going to go?
No, but you go. It's as if it's FIFA settings. We'll go get Harry Kane now, and he's going to fit straight into the squad. He's going to hit the ground running. He's going to understand our system, and he's going to gel. Now, no preseason, nothing, cold. Is going to be time. Look, I don't think any team's going to come in and pay 90 million in January. I think if they sell now, they could go and knock on the door of a Mitrovic and maybe buy themselves another winger with the kind of coin that they'll get from Kane.
Can't get Mitrovic no more. He looks like he might be.
I
know. But if you make the noise now, you know what I mean.
You know what? Yeah. I hear your logic. If they was to receive that for Kane, just then give that to a Frankfurt for Conor Mwani or even a Vlahovic. That, let's be honest, the three strikers that are off the top of everyone's tongue, Osimhen, which isn't going anywhere because Napoli are just the hardest team to negotiate with. But you've got Højlund, which seems United bound. Conor Mwani, which I don't know why no one's serious about this guy. He's a wicked number 9. No, there's been no club that's really. To be fair, it still is relatively early in the window, but I see your logic because if they get this money, they can now act quickly, try and get him in early parts of pre-season and then integrate him with the squad. But I just feel like United and Spurs are going to be in for the same strikers, and you only pick one club. If
I'm Spurs, I'll sell him close to that 100 million mark and probably go get myself. Probably sell Son next season potentially and go get your Matoma and go get your Evan Ferguson.
Matoma, that's a good shout. Matoma, what a shout. What a shout.
We'll try to work out a deal now for next year, Go spend that money now and then go get somebody else and use Son up front or something like that. That's the way I look at it.
You want a Ferguson, Kaz?
Yes, I do. Yes, more than any other striker. I want Evan Ferguson more than all these guys. But it's not happening.
Thing is, once Brighton sell Caicedo alongside McAllister, they're probably going to be like, no, that's no more players.
Don't even need to do it no more.
We don't want to turn into Leicester. We don't want to be Leicester. Relax. Boop, 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 boop. We need some players to field. We need 11,
and maybe Ferguson might not even accept that, to be fair. But
he probably stays one more year for his development.
He'll stay another year. Of course he's going to stay another year. Where his next club's going to be is I don't know. I really don't know. But other than obviously all that kind of stuff, the Man City talk and all that kind of stuff going on with Kane, don't really know where the direction will be. But there's one last direction coming from Chelsea. You could talk about your language, you can talk about your Vlahovic, but I don't really want to boil over. Conor Gallagher, to Tottenham. 40 million. You having a laugh?
Smart, it's smart business from Chelsea because they had 40 million last season. They knocked it back from Everton, and they come over to Tottenham and said, "Hey, how about this player for 40 million?" All of a sudden, the same price. It's great business from Chelsea. Wow.
Who are Tottenham's midfield options at the moment? Like when everyone's fit, Bentancur, Højlund, Maddison, and Ndombele.
Ndombele?
Yeah, I think Andrew is going to keep him. I genuinely think he sees him as his. I've seen quite a few reports. He sees him as the future, but they've got about 5 or 6 centre fielders. Again, as a fielder, you've got to have your own personal ambitions. He's probably looking at it as Euros year. Bear with me, I'm going to come back.
Yeah, I just don't understand it. Look, I thought Conor Gallagher would maybe has another chance at Chelsea to prove a little bit that he's a useful squad member under Pochettino. He kind of reminds me of a Pochettino type player. High energy, high press, getting behind the striker type. I don't think he's that creative. But if you go to Tottenham, I'm thinking if they are to play Maddison, who is the backup creative midfielder? Or attacking mid, you could say. Other than Kulusevski, you can play there, but then you're lacking a little bit on the right-hand side.
You're a bit bare bones, aren't you? This does add a lot of squad depth with Gallagher. I think he's a decent player. But do you think Conor Gallagher would?
I think he's going to be just a above average player overall. Anyways, I don't see the hype in him. I don't think he's going to be a world beater. I don't think he could become one of them useful squad members. He still looks a little bit raw the way he plays as well. Like he's had a lack of direction in coaching. That's why I can see him kind of staying at Chelsea. But if a good bid comes in, why is Chelsea going to say no?
40 million. Like I said, when I heard it last season, I said they're crazy not to get rid of him, but to be able to get 40 million again, it's a good bit of business. But I don't know. I look at it and think to myself, good deal for Chelsea. Spurs, on the other hand, to fork out 40 million for Gallagher now, I don't know. I don't think. Look at the money they've spent on Maddison, and now they're going to go and spend 40 million on Gallagher. I don't know.
Can Chelsea afford to lose out on another midfielder when they only brought one in? Except for Nkunku.
But then again, Kaz, I think he only comes if he has assurances that you're going to start, which when Tottenham midfield's fit, he doesn't start for them. I can't see him going and knowing he's a squad player because, again, he's going to want to break into that Euro squad. A lot of players are going to be thinking this summer, I need to be going to a team that start. I think Gallagher should go back to, I don't know, a Palace or someone. Obviously, they'll have to come in.
I think so, yeah. Or West Ham. I think he's West Ham to a T. It's just where does he fit? Perfect. They want to get rid of Fornals. They want to get rid of Benrahma, which I don't understand. Exactly. David Moyes just doesn't like talent. And he just wants to, you know what kind of team he'd be building if he is to go to get a Conor Gallagher. But that's not allowed to happen because I want him to go get Scott McTominay. So leave him alone.
I was offering Fred and Lokonga to some Liverpool fans in the chat. We're happy to help. We're happy to help. Lokonga to Liverpool. Make it happen.
We're all right. We're all right.
Here we go.
But other than that, there's not really much transfer activity going on about. There's it's not as bad as yesterday. Yesterday was super dry. Today's a little bit dry. It should be brewing though. As soon as preseason comes into play, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to be looking at gaps and linking players left, right, and center, and we'll see which one is true and which one is not. Only likely one I see, that's probably the most realistic one that we're talking about today, is maybe Cherki to Chelsea makes sense. Easy buy.
I think it does.
It's the easiest buy.
I think it does. And like you said, especially if they're outgoings, they probably need a bit more depth. Fits their remit. He's young, technician, forward player, what Bodie loves, what Poch loves. Forget Bodie, what Poch loves as well. But I think it makes sense. For 30 million as well, let's be honest, that's the modern day like 5 or 10 million, bro. So that's nothing for Chelsea. So I think, no, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
They just need to chill out, man.
If your club hasn't really been mentioned, it's because it's just dry news at the moment. Like Declan Rice still isn't through that door yet. You know, Timber still isn't through that door yet. Anana, more news on that maybe later on. No, isn't through the door yet. There's a lot of these.
Wait, Anana to who?
Man United.
Oh,
United.
Sorry, I thought you meant the Everton one. Sorry.
You know,
Are you talking about Everton? You know that's a decent midfielder that we're not hearing too much about. You know what I mean?
I rate him.
I do too, man. He's a big boy, imposing. Yes, he's a bit rough, but rough around the edges. But he's a decent midfielder. I think he'd help any team out, really. With would you take him at Liverpool? I think you guys could use him.
You know, I did a show at the start of last season, right? And obviously I had all the Bellingham stuff, and I was on a channel and we picked our top 5. He was one of my top 5 targets that I wanted to go for. I rate Onana, but with us being their derby and rivals and whatnot, they would, for anyone else, they'll probably
got relegated, bro.
60, but they would extort us. They would never sell him to us. But he's a baller, and you know what? His initiation song will be excellent. Have you seen it? Have you heard his voice? He can sing. But then
sing.
Yeah, he could. He's got a proper good voice. His initiation song would be crazy. But no, he's a baller, man. And I think. Say that again.
What a 6.
I think he's at I think he's at 8. But again, he's got qualities that he can do all right in the 6. But I think he leaves in January. I think he stays at Everton. A club come in with a big bid and Everton sell him because he's too good for that team to be fighting relegation again. No way. And he's a Belgian international, I think.
I'm not too fussed. I think he's all right, but I don't think he's good enough. He's just going to be another Zakaria for me, man. Big you. Defensive midfield, probably end up getting injured after intensive ball. Yeah, man. That's it. But yeah, man, other than that, guys, make sure you subscribe to Osiguna. It's in the pinned if you don't mind going over there and heading to his channel. And liking the video on the way out. I think we're something like 7 likes away from 200. So if you haven't done so, we'll be back tonight at 11:15, I believe, after Big 6. So make sure you do that. Make sure you subscribe, all that good stuff. Nearly on 12K. And yeah, big up yourselves.